After my mother passed away, my father changed completely. The laughter that used to fill our home faded into silence, replaced by caution and control. He became overprotective, constantly checking where I was, who I spoke to, and when I'd be home. Every time a boy so much as smiled at me, he would glare until they disappeared. It wasn't that he didn't love me, he did, deeply, but after losing Mom, he couldn't bear the thought of losing me too. Then, one day, I met Ethan. He wasn't loud or flashy like other guys. He was calm, kind, and genuine. He listened when I spoke, remembered the smallest details, and never pushed for more than I wanted to give. For the first time, I felt like someone truly saw me, not just as my father's daughter, but as myself. When I told Dad about him, his reaction was predictable. He crossed his arms, gave me that stern look, and said, "We'll have to prove he's worth your time." I tried to argue, but there was no point. Dad had made up his mind. The night Ethan came to meet him, the tension in the room could have cut glass. He arrived with a bouquet of Lalimum's favorite and smiled nervously as Dad sized him up. "So," my father said, "you're the one who thinks he can take my daughter out?" Ethan nodded politely. "Yes, sir, with your permission." My father chuckled darkly. "Permission? You don't have my permission? You think you can protect her? Your tie's crooked, your shoes are scuffed, and your hands shake. You can't even protect yourself from your own nerves." "Dad," I started, but he raised a hand to silence me. Then he turned to Ethan. "You want to prove you're worthy of my daughter? Fine. You'll have to earn it. For challenges, you pass them all, and you get my blessing. Well, even one, and you never come near her again." Ethan took a deep breath, then nodded. Deal. The next morning began the first challenge. My father met Ethan at dawn and said, "This isn't about muscles or endurance. It's about whether you can protect her." Before Ethan could ask what he meant, one of Dad's old army friends, a tall, intimidating man named Lieutenant Carla, appeared, snatched my handbag from the porch, and sprinted down the street. "What are you waiting for?" Dad shouted. "Go get it." Ethan didn't hesitate. He ran after him, his footsteps pounding against the pavement. It was like watching a movie unfold in real life. After several long minutes, Ethan came back, out of breath, but victorious, holding my bag. Dad didn't say much, but I saw the faintest smile tug at the corner of his lips. "One down," he said quietly. 3 to go. The second challenge was even stranger. Dad led Ethan into the kitchen and pointed to a perfectly baked chocolate cake sitting on the counter. "Relationships aren't built on words, they're built on effort," he said. "You want to be with my daughter? Then prove you can take care of a home. Bake a cake like this. Same taste, same texture. You've got 5 hours. Ethan blinked, stunned. "You're kidding, right?" Dad smirked. "Do I look like I'm joking?" We left for lunch, and when we came home hours later, the kitchen looked like a war zone. There was flour everywhere, frosting smeared on the counters, and smoke lingering in the air. But in the middle of the chaos sat a slightly lopsided cake. My father cut a small piece, tasted it, and for a moment said nothing. Then he nodded once. "It's not perfect," he admitted, "but it's made with effort, and that's more than most people can say." The third challenge, though, wasn't so kind. That evening, Dad led Ethan to his backyard shooting range. "Let's see if you can protect her for real," he said. "You'll get 5 shots close, 5 long, 30 seconds. You'll be going up against one of my best men." Ethan had never held a rifle before, but he didn't back down. When the timer started, he steadied his aim and fired. His accuracy wasn't great, but his determination was clear. Still, Dad shook his head. "You've got heart, but your aim is off. You'd never make it in my unit." Ethan only nodded, quietly accepting the criticism. "Maybe not," he said, "but I'll still do whatever it takes to protect her." For the first time, I saw something flicker in my father's eyes. Respect. The final challenge would be the hardest of all. The next morning, Dad sat at the dining table with a chessboard laid out. "This one's about the mind," he said. "Beat me, and you've won. Lose, and you're done." Ethan smiled nervously. "I don't have to win. I just have to keep up." They played in silence, pieces moving like soldiers across the board. I watched from the doorway, my heart racing with every move. After an hour, Dad leaned back with a grin. "You're cornered, son. Give up." Ethan shook his head. "Not yet, sir." Then, with quiet precision, he moved his queen and forced a draw. My father stared at the board in disbelief. "You didn't win," he said slowly. "No," Ethan replied, "but neither did you." Then he leaned forward and said, "Sir, I'm not here to win against you. I'm here to prove that I'll never give up on her, even when the odds are against me." For a long moment my father didn't speak. Then he stood up, his expression softening. "It's been years since anyone's spoken to me like that," he admitted. "And longer since anyone forced me into a draw." He extended his hand. "You've earned my respect, son. Go to her." When Ethan turned to me, I ran into his arms. The world seemed to blur around us. Our first kiss wasn't perfect. It was clumsy and nervous, but it was real. I knew in that moment that he was the one. From the porch, my father watched us, a small, bittersweet smile on his face. For the first time in years, he looked peaceful. I finally understood that love isn't about protection, it's about trust. That night, I found him sitting by Mom's photo. "She'd like him," he said softly. I smiled. "I know." Then he added, "He reminds me of myself before fear made me overprotective." I placed my hand on his shoulder. "You didn't lose, Dad. You just learned to let go." From that day on, Dad never tried to control my choices again. He and Ethan grew close, and for the first time, our house felt warm again. Months later, under the same stars that once witnessed his doubt, Ethan turned to me and said, "That night, I wasn't fighting for your dad's approval. I was fighting for the kind of love that's worth earning." And maybe, deep down, that was the lesson my father wanted him to learn all along. Sometimes love isn't about proving yourself to the person you wanted. It's about earning the trust of those who've spent their lives protecting them. And when that trust is finally given, it becomes the purest form of love there is.